December 10, 2008. Bernie Madoff held the annual Christmas party at his Manhattan office on the 17th floor of the Lipstick Building. He handed out bonuses early. He shook hands. He smiled. That evening, his two sons, Mark and Andrew, cornered him and demanded to know the truth about the firm's finances. Madoff took them home and said 3 words that would destroy his family and shatter Wall Street. He said, "It's all one big lie." The wealth management arm of his firm, which showed $65 billion in client accounts, had never invested a single dollar. Not once. Every trade on every client statement was fabricated. Every return was fictional. And he had been doing it for over 20 years. Think about that for a second. One man, sitting on the board of NASDAQ, advising the SEC, shaking hands with regulators while running the largest Ponzi scheme in the history of finance. And nobody caught him. Not the banks, not the auditors, not the regulators. A single whistleblower spent 9 years begging someone to listen. They ignored him every single time. Madoff's victims were not faceless numbers on a spreadsheet. Steven Spielberg's Wunderkinder Foundation invested with him. Nobel laureate Elie Wiesel's charitable foundation lost $15.2 million. Yeshiva University lost $110 million. The New York Mets owners Fred Wilpon and Saul Katz were in deep. There were more than 4,800 investor accounts. Retirement savings for thousands of ordinary people who trusted one of the most respected names on Wall Street. 2 of his investors took their own lives after discovering their wealth had vanished. His own son, Mark, would hang himself on the 2nd anniversary of his father's arrest. If you have ever trusted a financial institution with your savings, this story should terrify you, because the system that was supposed to protect those people failed at every single level. Bernard L. Madoff was born April 29, 1938, in Queens, New York. In 1960, he founded Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities with $5,000 he saved from working as a lifeguard and installing sprinklers. From the very start, his firm had 2 sides. The legitimate brokerage business became one of the largest market makers on Wall Street, processing up to 15% of all New York Stock Exchange trading volume by the 1990s. And then there was the wealth management business, where clients handed Madoff their money and trusted him to invest it. That second business is where the fraud lived. By the 1980s, Madoff was a Wall Street icon. He served as chairman of the NASDAQ stock exchange in 1990, 1991, and 1993. He helped design the electronic trading systems that transformed modern markets. His brother Peter was vice chairman of the National Association of Securities Dealers. His niece Shana worked in compliance. The Madoff name was woven into the fabric of the financial establishment, and that reputation is exactly what made the fraud possible. Would you question a man who literally helped build the system you trusted? Here is where the story gets almost absurd in its simplicity. When investors gave Madoff money, he deposited it into a single JPMorgan Chase checking account. He never bought a single stock. He never executed a single trade. Over the lifetime of that account, approximately $150 billion moved in and out. When an investor wanted a return, Madoff simply paid them with money from newer investors. That is a Ponzi scheme in its purest form. His staff fabricated trade confirmations and account statements using outdated IBM AS/400 computers on a locked floor with a separate entrance. 2 programmers, George Perez and Jerome O'Hara, built software that generated fake trading records. His accountant, David Freeling, ran a one-man firm from a tiny storefront office and rubber-stamped audits for years without ever verifying a single trade. Let that sink in. A $65 billion investment operation audited by a firm with 3 employees working out of a strip mall. Madoff told his clients he used a strategy called split strike conversion, trading S&P 100 options. He promised consistent returns of around 10% per year in both up and down markets. That consistency was the greatest red flag of all. In over 14 years of reported returns, Madoff showed only 4 losing months. That is like a baseball player batting .966 for an entire career. It does not happen. It is mathematically implausible, and yet nobody in power questioned it. Except one person did. In 1999, a quantitative analyst named Harry Markopolos at Rampart Investment Management in Boston was asked to replicate Madoff's trading strategy. He tried, he failed. Within 4 hours, Markopolos concluded that the returns were impossible to achieve through legitimate trading. In May of 2000, he filed a formal complaint with the SEC's Boston office. The SEC did nothing. Markopolos did not stop. He submitted detailed warnings to the SEC in 2000, 2001, 2002, 2005, 2007, and 2008. His 2005 submission was a 21-page document titled "The World's Largest Hedge Fund is a Fraud." It listed 29 specific red flags, proving Madoff's returns were mathematically impossible. He even offered to go undercover at Madoff's offices. The SEC ignored every single submission. Markopolos later testified before Congress that he became so terrified for his personal safety that he wore an oversized coat and white gloves to avoid leaving fingerprints when delivering documents. He feared organized crime groups invested with Madoff might come after anyone who threatened the scheme. One man figured it out in 4 hours. The most powerful regulators in the world could not figure it out in 9 years. Let that contrast sit with you. The SEC conducted at least 5 examinations or investigations of Madoff between 1992 and 2008. Every single one failed to uncover the fraud. A 2009 SEC Inspector General report found the investigations were superficial and that examiners lacked the financial expertise to understand the scheme. Here is a detail that should make your jaw drop. One SEC examiner who investigated Madoff, Eric Swanson, later married Madoff's niece Shana. The two began their relationship while Swanson was involved in regulatory oversight of the firm. JPMorgan Chase, the bank that held the single checking account running the entire Ponzi scheme, watched $150 billion flow through it over 2 decades. In October 2008, weeks before Madoff's arrest, a JPMorgan employee in the UK filed a report saying Madoff's returns appeared too good to be true. The bank never filed a similar report in the United States. When Madoff was arrested on December 11, 2008, one JPMorgan employee wrote to a colleague, "Can't say I'm surprised, can you?" The colleague replied, "No." JPMorgan later paid $2.6 billion in settlements and penalties. The auditors signed off, the regulators signed off, the bank watched the money flow, and nobody said a word until it all collapsed. The 2008 financial crisis was the trigger. As markets crashed, panicked investors rushed to withdraw their money. Between September and December 2008, they requested approximately $7 billion in redemptions, but Madoff's Chase account held only $300 million. On December 3, 2008, Madoff told his right-hand man, Frank DePascali, "I'm out of money." On December 9th, he confessed to his sons. On December 10th, he threw the Christmas party. On December 11th, Mark and Andrew Madoff called the FBI. That same day, federal agents arrested Bernie Madoff at his Manhattan penthouse, $65 billion in fictional wealth unraveled in 8 days. On March 12, 2009, Madoff pleaded guilty to 11 federal felonies. On June 29, 2009, Judge Denny Chin sentenced him to 150 years in prison, the maximum allowed. The judge called the fraud extraordinarily evil. Madoff was transferred to the federal prison complex in Butner, North Carolina. He died there on April 14, 2021. He was 82 years old. The court-appointed trustee, Irving Picard, spent over 15 years clawing back money for victims. The Madoff Recovery Initiative has recovered approximately $14.4 billion in total. The largest single recovery came from the estate of Jeffrey Pickauer, who had withdrawn $7.2 billion more than he invested. Madoff's brother Peter was sentenced to 10 years. Frank DePascali cooperated but died of lung cancer before sentencing. 5 other employees were convicted. Mark Madoff took his own life on December 11, 2010. Andrew Madoff died of cancer in 2014. The scandal led to the creation of the SEC office, of the whistleblower in 2010, which now pays financial rewards to people who report fraud. But here is the question that should keep you up at night. Madoff fooled the most powerful financial system on Earth for over 20 years. Not because the scheme was sophisticated, it was a textbook Ponzi. He fooled them because he was one of them, a NASDAQ chairman, an industry pioneer, a man who helped write the rules, and nobody wanted to believe that one of their own could be a fraud. Back in 2005, Harry Markopolos hand-delivered a 21-page document to the SEC titled, "The World's Largest Hedge Fund is a Fraud." They ignored it. 3 years later, Madoff confessed because the market collapsed and he ran out of other people's money. The question is not how he did it. The question is how many more are doing it right now and who is looking. If you want to see how another billion-dollar fraud fooled an entire country, check out the next video. Subscribe so you do not miss it.